Should I be taking on different types of jobs in my lawn care business? Let's talk about that today. I'm Frank, and I'm all about helping business owners and entrepreneurs start and grow their lawn care business. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button so you're notified of my future videos. What's going on, lawn care pros? Hey, I just wanted to get with you today and discuss with you niching down in your lawn care business. So you started your lawn care business, maybe you started with mowing and you're doing other services as they come along. So when do you say no to certain services? When do you start niching down in your business? When do you really start becoming that specialist in what you do? Well, that's a really good question, and I get that asked a lot. People ask me, hey, I want to, take on landscaping, I want to take on irrigation, I want to take on, doing paved stone, I want to install fire pits, or maybe I want to do power washing. Where do you start drawing the line as far as, what you say no to? And I'm really a proponent of really niching down in your business. However, when you're first starting out, you might take on different types of jobs for a couple reasons. One, because you need the income and your business hasn't grown to the point where you have constant flow of cash flow coming in. The other reason that you might want to take on different jobs is because you want to kind of experiment and see, what are you good at? What do you like? What are some of the profit margins of different types of work? You might do fire pit, and that might be your, specialty. That might be something that you really like to do. You want to do paved stone. You want to do, landscaping. The only way you're going to really find out if that's something you want to do is by doing it. And there's no better time to do that than when you're first starting out. And that way you can also generate some additional income until you build up your core base of customers. If you have like 100 customers and you're a solo operator, that's pretty good core business and you're getting a good cash flow of business. So at that point, you're not going to have time to take on different tasks, and you're not going to really be able to figure out if, I can do this or if I can do that. So again, that's a good time to get some of that out of your system, figure out what kind of things that you like to do, figure out what are some of the profit margins of different types of work, tree work versus irrigation, landscaping versus lawn maintenance, mowing, doing mulch and shrubs and flower beds and that kind of thing. That way you can kind of figure out what are the best profit margins as well as what you like to do, right? And that's most important, because you want to be able to wake up in the morning and do what you like to do. You don't want to necessarily do maintenance if that's not what you like to do. Maybe you love doing irrigation, and that way when you wake up in the morning, you enjoy what you like to do. So let me give you an example. Recently, someone asked me if they should take on, this big property, and it was going to be like $450 per every 2 weeks, and it was going to be really profitable. However, they didn't have the equipment that really met the needs of that job, because prior to this property, they were basically doing, small residential lawns. So they were doing push mowers. They didn't have a zero turn. And this property was much bigger. And, they were asking me, hey, should I take this on? How much should I bid this for? And really, this company had already been in business for quite a while. And they had already established, what their core competency was. Their specialty was, small residential lawns where they're doing maintenance. They're not doing any kind of other work like landscaping or irrigation or anything other than, mowing and other maintenance type work related to the properties. So when this property came along, they were more focused on, how much money can I make off of this? They kind of got sidetracked as far as what their business plan was and how to proceed in their business. So we looked at the pros and cons, and one of the biggest problems with taking on this type of property was, again, this company wasn't set up for taking on a property this large. So they had to probably spend around $15,000 worth of equipment just to be able to, get what they need to take care of this lawn. So I would kind of steer away from that. However, again, if you're starting out and you're new, you want to kind of, evaluate these kind of properties on a case by case basis. Again, like if you're doing 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 lawns and you're using small, 21-inch mowers, if a big property comes along, you don't want to necessarily, drop everything and say, hey, there's an opportunity for me to buy a 0 turn and I'm going to do this property. You really want to evaluate to see, when you buy this big piece of equipment that's going to cost you $6,000-$7,000 for one, 0 turn, is it going to be profitable down the road? Are you going to expand on this business, and are you going to expand on, taking on bigger and bigger properties? Because with bigger properties come different, headaches. And, are you going to need a trailer? Are you going to need to get liability insurance just for this property? What are some of the things that come along with taking on that task? So again, going back to that example, this company decided to kind of steer away from that because they were drawn in by the money, but again, they were kind of being distracted by what their business model is really about. Their business model is really 2 men in a truck going out doing residential lawns, using 21-inch mowers, and doing lawn maintenance. That's a really good business model for them, and so they don't need to be distracted with doing other things. Again, as you're starting out, you want to kind of explore some of these things and figure out what best fits your needs, right? If you're going to be a solo operator, what do you want to do? Do you want to do everything? Or do you want to do 1 or 2 things and really specialize in them? So I know if I go to a doctor or a lawyer, if I go to a specialist, they're going to make more money, or they're going to want more money than, their counterpart. And that goes the same for the lawn care industry. If you're going to niche down and be a specialist in what you do, you're going to be able to demand more for your services. So that's why you want to really think about what you want to do for the long term. So let me give you another story. Last week, I met a friend of mine and we went out to eat for lunch at this place called Joe T. Garcia's in Fort Worth. It's a really well-known restaurant or little Mexican place that serves basically 2 items. So you can either get like fajitas or you're going to get enchiladas. And this was another really good example of a restaurant really niching down. And I can tell you there's always a line out the door. A lot of famous people go to this restaurant. And interesting enough, my buddy had never been there. And so we ate and the food was great as always. And when the bill came, the lady reminded us that, hey, by the way, I just wanted to remind you, we only accept cash. So again, this is another example of really niching down and knowing your business. They're only serving a couple items, and they also have, their payment system is just one type of payment. So whenever you're first starting out, you really want to start thinking about if you're going to take one type of payment, 2 type of payments, or several different type of payments. Me personally, I like to keep things simple and accept credit cards only. It's a way of really simplifying what you do in your business. And the reason it's important to simplify these things and really niche down is because now you're able to scale much more easily. So let me give you a real personal example, and that's with my company. So whenever I was starting out about 11, 12 years ago now with the lawn care business, I started out pretty much doing everything. And again, that's acceptable because I was trying to figure out what really I was interested in. So we were doing lawn maintenance, we were doing tree work. Hey, Mr. Frank, can you do fence work for us? And I was like, sure, I'll do fence work for you. So we did irrigation, we did everything. I actually went out and got my irrigation license, and we were doing just everything under the sun. So as I grew in my business, I started to develop a desire to do certain things, and that happened to be fertilization and weed control. And that's something that I felt was a high margin. That's something that I was kind of passionate about. And that's where we started steering our business towards. Now, Was everything else a waste? Absolutely not. I learned and I gained a lot of experience in different fields of the business, of the industry. And I didn't just, abandon those businesses or those services that we provided. Those were businesses within themselves. So I started selling those businesses off. And eventually we got to the point where we specialize in doing one thing, and that's fertilization and weed control. That's why you want to be passionate about what you do, because that helps you in being able to grow your business and really scale your business to where you want to be. So in summary, when you're first starting out, it's okay to go ahead and take on different types of jobs. That way you get the experience and you can really figure out what you're passionate about. Once you figure that out, I want you to really niche down and start being the expert in what you do. So once you do that, I think you're going to find that you're going to be more profitable and able to grow your business at a more rapid pace. The scalability is going to be much easier once you niche down and you're passionate about what you do. So if you find this video helpful, make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button so you're notified of my future videos. See you next time, lawn care pros.